Excellent.
All right. Hey, Francois Franklin. Welcome back, everybody. Josh Ruiz, the MVP cast, How to Become More podcast. On today's episode, we have my man, Franklin Taggart. Welcome to the show, Franklin.
Oh, it's good to be with you guys. Thanks for the invitation.
Good to have you. Good to have
you. Absolutely. So Franklin is out of Loveland, Colorado. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Franklin.
Well, I don't even know where to start with that question, man. I'm 60 years old, so there's a lot to talk about. So I don't know if
there we go.
A little could go a long way. Let's just say that the things that I am most interested in are everything. I keep hearing the word multi-passionate thrown around, and I guess that's a pretty good description of who I am. The career that I've had the longest has been in music. I started doing music professionally when I was still in high school back in the 1970s, if you can believe that.
Wow.
And I've had an on and again, off again career in music since then. It's been disrupted by a bunch of stuff. But I've had about, 24 day jobs and 24 side hustles along the way. And I've learned a lot about a lot of things. About 15 years ago, I started getting really sick. And when that happened, I started to find ways that I could make money without leaving my chair, and became entranced with the digital world. And about the same time, some people that I knew in my life started asking me for coaching. And I didn't even know that that's what it was at the time, but they just asked me for help as they were starting to navigate from traditional kinds of career paths into more creative career paths. And I would just help them figure out what they needed to do. And then about a few years later, I realized, hey, wait a minute, I think this is coaching.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And also, I love the multi-passionate words that you use.
Yes.
And for that makes you a well-rounded coach, someone that can have perspective, a 24 day jobs and 24 hobbies, or what's the other 24 that you mentioned?
Side hustles
Hustles that enable you to see things from so many perspectives. That's awesome indeed.
Yeah.
Versatility. Indeed. Yes.
You said music. Now, what do you play an instrument?
I play the guitar and I sing.
Okay, right on. Me too. I sing. I'm in backup vocals. Whenever I start singing, you tell me back up.
Look at Francois. That's why I have him part of the show, Franklin. He comes out with those nuggets just all the time, man.
He's the humor, right? He's the funny
one. My kids call me dad. They said these are dad jokes. I said, well, they're the ones that could be said anywhere. That's fine. I play drums myself. Not as much now, but I used to.
Very good.
And I'm 61, so it was Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and those were the music. Indeed, those were the days.
You know my songs, you know my songs.
Absolutely. So you said also you became recently a YouTube creator. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I've had a YouTube channel for a long time. I had a music channel first, and I really didn't do much with it. I just didn't understand how it worked. And a couple of years ago, I started to get really interested in video, just in general. I took some video editing courses and learned some things about it. And earlier this year, first of this year, I decided, well, you know what I'm going to do? I've been doing my podcast as videos all along, but I'm going to do it once a day. I'm going to upload one video a day to YouTube, no matter what. And I've stuck with it. And now we're about halfway through the year, and I've got a nice bunch of videos online that people can see. And 6 days a week, it's just me talking about the things that are on my mind that come up in like client conversations, or when I'm walking the dog or whatever. But they usually have things to do with creativity and entrepreneurship, and marketing is another thing that I love to talk about. But and then once a week I release an interview show, and the interview shows are primarily directed to people who love to work alone. Those are the folks that I really seem to have a really strong resonance with. Yeah, solopreneurs, a lot of freelancers. I've got a lot of folks who are doing like virtual assistant work that listen to my show, and so I really have a compassion for people who love solitude as much as they love money, because that's something that describes me. I really love the ability to close the door and just be 100% in line with my creativity. And it's difficult to do if there's noise going on.
Interesting. I like one of the things that you said is my creativity, lock the door and then make things happen. But we like to have the MVP. And
Yeah.
the MVP, one of the main characteristics is someone that makes a decision, a commitment, and sticks to it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the MVP in your life and by default in the lives of others that sort of follow you. And congratulations on having that, I don't know if you say stick to itness. Stick-to-itiveness since the beginning of the year to actually make sure that you made a commitment and you keep on doing it. And I'm sure that you've grown tremendously just from that. And ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the ideal characteristics of whatever it is that you're doing. Make a decision, stick to it, and continue. The momentum, you don't even know what it's going to be. And that's something that, and so thanks for being an example in doing that. That's awesome, Franklin.
Yeah.
The thing that was really interesting about that is that it started with a realization last year that I was spending a lot more time consuming content than creating content.
Oh.
And I made the conscious decision to switch that around, to make my consumption a lot less and to make my production a lot more. And that has paid off in ways that I'm just every day more and more pleased with and surprised by.
Excellent. Actually, I have the 3 employees and I got them enrolled in this high level coaching program to help them get better and develop. And what they said to them is learn a little, implement immensely.
Yeah.
So don't spend all your day trying to learn. This is the squat for you. Squat for anybody. You want to become an MVP, learn a little and implement massively. And that's what you
better yet, learn through implementing.
And that's my favorite thing, actually. Information to create transformation needs integration, and it's implementing and taking action that bridges that gap. Because
absolutely.
My favorite thing is you talk about YouTube. Who's on YouTube? You can go on YouTube and find out how to ride a bike. But until you put your butt on a bike, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's cool. Right on. So,
Very
Josh,
good.
any thoughts?
Yeah. I like how he changed the consume to create. And I can speak for me personally, and I think a lot of people, that's why YouTube has grown so much. That platform in itself has the ability to kind of, once somebody's in there, that they kind of get sucked in and they just stay hours and hours and hours. Right. And that's kind of obviously by design, but I like how he was able to, be aware of the consumption and change that to the creation side. Now, I was going to ask you, Franklin, on those daily uploads, are you doing those live or do you record them and then upload them? Are you doing any editing with them?
I record them, and sometimes there's some light editing that needs to be done, but most of the time it's just record it. I put a front card and an end card on with a thumbnail and upload it. It's there. It usually takes about 20 minutes.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So real simple, nothing too complex.
Nothing complex at all.
See, done is better than perfect, right?
That's right.
I think there's something to that. And again, you reference Grant Cardone and Gary Vee. Both of them have that philosophy of just get it done and get it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So kind of transitioning, I see, you talked a lot about, creativity, being a creator, entrepreneur impulses. Kind of take us back a little bit in the music and kind of transitioning yourself into that entrepreneurial role and being fired up to really be able to help other entrepreneurs.
That's a good question. And it's also another long story. So I'll try to keep it short. The thing that happened for me with my music career, I went to college to get a degree in music and business. And I learned a lot there, but I didn't learn how to have a music career. Mm-hmm. And so I graduated from college and I got out there and I thought, I have no idea what to do, because the business training that I had was mostly geared toward, corporate. They wanted people to, wear a suit, go to IBM and apply for a job. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't what I needed for my music career. And so my music career was just a long process of learning by doing, a lot of trial and error, a lot of error. And it was also just like, man, it was kind of a hard knock life. It was not easy. And at one point, I set it aside for a few years and just did day jobs. And I was in like social services, and I worked in a crisis counseling center, and I was doing all this kind of stuff that was absolutely not related to music. But at the same time, I had all of these side businesses that I'd started. Like one of them was that I would record jingles and demos for people. And that was just a part-time side hustle that turned into a business. And I did that for a few years. And then there was another one where, music publishing was a part of it. And then there was another one where I was doing production for other people. And it was just like every time that I turned around, I had my day job and I had my music career wherever it was. And then I had whatever I was doing on the side as a business, just learning as I went. So the thing that I always encourage other entrepreneurs to do is it is important to find your niche and all of that stuff. And I think it's also just as important for you to find those things that you're really good at and hone those things so that when you go out there to offer something, it's ready to go, right? So I don't know if I may have strayed from your question there. God knows we were talking about rambling, and I'm good at it.
Yeah. I think you dove right in. I took some kind of notes on nuggets that I got out of there, learning by doing. Yeah. And it seems you have a very common theme of always having a couple different legs in motion, right? And that's one thing I always like to highlight when, with guests on here and other entrepreneurs that Francois and I come into contact with, focusing in on one thing is always very good. But, as they say, putting your eggs all in one basket is not always the best idea, right? Because you have to be able to pivot and you want to have some flexibility to know that you can adjust and do something else. Like you said, your music career kind of took a back seat. You got a job, but you were able to still practice music on the side, which evolved into something else ultimately, right?
Oh yeah, man. The thing that's really interesting is the music business has totally been turned over by technology. So it's a whole new frontier now than it was when I went to school. I've had to learn so many things just to stay up to date with the music business because the technology has changed it so much. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nowadays you could be a musician on YouTube, right? Just play some music and upload a video and make a good living off of that solely, right?
Well, that's how Justin Bieber got started.
There you go.
He was just a kid, and he just was doing videos all the time of him singing, and that was what got him his audience, and that's what got him his record deal, right?
And so this is something that is very, very interesting for all entrepreneurs that you've touched on, Franklin, is sometimes we stop ourselves of doing something that we have a passion about, thinking that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But let's take Justin Bieber. Some like him, some don't. Immaterial right now. Let's just look at the fact that he was young. He started to doing what he loved, and then he kept on growing, and now he's making a living out of it. So if it's possible for someone, it's possible for you, ladies and gentlemen, that's listening to this. That thing that's in your heart right now that you say, oh, I wish I would. It's possible. Start imperfectly. It doesn't matter. Start imperfectly, but start. Because people say, I'm stuck. The reason you're stuck is because you're not moving. If you start moving, all of a sudden you're not stuck anymore. Yeah. And then as you move more and more, then you gain momentum. And that momentum, as you have it more and more, is going to make you smash right through the obstacles. If you have no momentum, a little bump on the road will stop you. That's it. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That momentum is important. It doesn't need to be perfect. That's a very good thing for all entrepreneurs out there. You got this thing inside of you, burning desire. If God gave you that idea in your heart, that means you have the capacity to do it. Yeah. The only question is, will you take action? And when you do, it starts to happen. This is wonderful. I love entrepreneurship.
That's right.
You're preaching my gospel over there, Francois.
There you go. Well, that's it. That's why we're on the show, man. Birds of a feather flock together. That's it.
Man.
Indeed. And an object in motion wants to stay in motion, right? And that's just the momentum, right? Each and every day. And Francois and I were kind of talking a little bit prior about the wins of the week, right? And it's about finding the little wins in each and everything that we do each and every day, right? If you can find a win in what you've done today, tomorrow has that much more of a bright light to it, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about wins. Let's talk about wins right now. How about we make a transition, like a intermission right here? So, Josh,
Intermission.
What's the win of the week for you this week?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. I appreciate that, Francois. My win of the week is I have a group that recently started on Facebook. I'm in the insurance space, and my new focus with this group is helping veterans transition into retirement and be able to maximize their insurance benefits. And one of the wins of the week that I had is I did a live video explaining 8 life changes that require one to get a will either reviewed or in place. And while I did go live on it, I didn't have anybody join me live. I've had a lot of viewership, and I had some engagement in the comments. And so for me, that was definitely a win of the week to see some people excited and benefiting from the information that we provided. So
that's awesome.
Excellent.
Cool. I love it. Great win.
How about your win of the week?
Well, mine's an interesting one. I believe that we cannot do anything on our own, so we need help from others. If we're good at what we do, guess what? Others are good at what they do. So if we get together, then it can be increased. So I have 3 high-level coaches that I've hired. But this week, actually last week, Friday, my win of the week was that I hired a team of coaches for my employees, for them to get to the next level. And today we had the enrollment call. I'm telling you, the smiles on their faces was like beaming like crazy. Why? Because they realize that what I do now, I'm making it available to them, and they're seeing all the possibilities, and they realize that although they knew a few things, there's so much more that they don't yet know. And having an experienced and authoritative person train them how to do it, just make them beam. And they're asking questions, what about this? What about that? And it was interesting. How do you say, good tip for everybody. He always answered by, that's a very good question. By the way, that's a good thing to say whenever someone's asking you a question. That's a very good question. And he was answering it succinctly and also pointing at different aspects and avenue and resources that they can have. This is paramount. To become the MVP, to become more, we cannot do it alone. We need to have others. And I was doing it for myself, but now I'm doing it for my team, and I'm seeing them how they're blossom. That's my win of the week, to share it with people. We can't do it alone. Share with others, and they beam from it. The experience is that everybody grows. I say that when the tide rises, all the boats rise together.
Indeed.
Yeah, man. That's
Excellent.
absolutely right.
How about yourself, Franklin? How about you share some wins of the week? Because we all know that as entrepreneurs, sometimes we get, the 2x4 in the forehead, and we got to keep smiling. But there's wins that happen to help us keep on going. So what's one of the wins of the week that you'd like to share with us, Franklin?
Well, one win of the week that I'm really excited about, excuse me, is that I was invited to participate in a bundle. It's called Boost Your Business Bundle, and I am really excited about that one. They just opened enrollment earlier this week, and it's actually only open until the end of next week. But I created a product for this bundle that I'm really excited about, and it's a course that I made, and it's one that I've wanted to do for a while now, and it's called Elevator Pitches That Don't Suck.
Hey.
Yeah, because I really feel like that we lose so many opportunities when our elevator pitches just are not on point. And so I've created a course to help people understand how they can make their elevator pitches stronger, more direct, and more effective. And that will be available for people who sign up for the bundle absolutely free. It's a $50 course. It'll be a freebie for anybody who signs up for the bundle. So that is my win for this week. The bundle, being a part of the bundle community and making that course happen after a couple of years of wanting to do it. It's now a real thing. So.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on taking action, number one. And number two, I am in a lot of online networking events, and a lot of people have the elevator pitch of the dumps. Like, come on. Like, and so all this to say, if this is you, well, it's time to learn about it. And as we said, there's people that are out there, and Franklin might just be the one that help you with that elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And so it's important. Value what it is that you do, so you articulate it in a way that resonates with people. And it's paramount. If you believe in what you do, believe in how you deliver it so that people can receive it and therefore engage. And it's a win-win situation. Awesome. That's what it is, entrepreneurs. That's what we have to do. And congratulations on doing it. That's a great win of the week. All right.
Man, big win. Thank you.
Congratulations on that, Franklin. And I wanted to echo something real quick, Francois, on the elevator pitch. I think it's very important to have one that makes sense and flows, but it's also in the manner you deliver it, right? And I'm sure that's part of some of your coursework of not only how to write one, but how to deliver it, right?
You got it. Yeah, what I tell people is that the elevator pitch isn't just the words that you say. It's the context of the whole event that you're in. Your elevator pitch is the experience of the whole meeting,
right,
that people have with you. So it's the way that you present yourself and introduce yourself. It's the thing that you leave with them to take home, and it's the experience that they have with you at the meeting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
As they say, the meaning behind which you say the words, right?
You got it.
Absolutely. I love it. This is awesome. Cool.
Indeed. Go ahead. Take it away, Francois.
All right. So now let's switch gears and go back.
Yeah.
So Franklin, can you tell us a little bit, what is it that you love most about what you do and why?
The thing that drives me probably more than anything else is that it's very upsetting to me personally to see creative people suffer because they're not allowing themselves to express that or to make something out of it.
Wow.
That is the thing that really drives me to what I do. I don't want creative people to suffer because they're not doing their creativity. That's the simple answer to that question. That is my driving force. That's the why that I have. So when I see people that, like, if they have a business idea but they are not running with it yet, I can't let that happen.
Nice.
I can't let it sit. I'm gonna ask them why, and I'm gonna kick out every excuse that they've got underneath them that's keeping them from starting. I'm just gonna say, you have one opportunity here. Your life is not gonna last forever. The time is now. Let's get it done.
Wow.
I love that.
That's entrepreneurial lifestyle. So what is it that you love most about your entrepreneurial lifestyle?
There are so many things that I can answer that with. The main thing that I look at is I look at the things that are in the world because a person asked me to help them. And I get really excited about the variety of things that I see, like all of the books that have been written, all of the YouTube channels that have been started, all of the podcasts that have been started, all of the e-commerce shops that have been started, all of the people who have taken their music dream more seriously and created a career out of it. All of the people who have made record albums that they've been sitting on the songs since they were teenagers and now they're 50 and they say, well, I guess I better do it now. And so they go ahead and record, right? So it's like I look at the things that have come into the world because people asked me to help them do it. And that's what I get excited about.
That is awesome. I don't know if we lost Francois in here or not, but that I like that. We'll just keep rolling. I really like what you said about that, Franklin. And I think a lot of times, entrepreneurs, especially on the creator side, they allow their own limiting beliefs to impede moving to the next step, right? And taking action on what it is they do. And I feel like more so now than ever before, the space and the time we're living in has blossomed and really opened up for that creator scene. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. I think the biggest thing that I see is that in order for people to actually take the first step, their courage has to grow bigger than their fear. And that's the only thing that has to happen. It's like you can't change the belief. The belief's already there. The belief will change once your behavior changes and once your results change. Your belief will be different at the end of that. But the thing that needs to happen up front, you're not going to be confident at first, but you'll have to be courageous at first. You'll have to have the courage to do something in spite of all of the different things that could happen.
So let's go there. He says, how can you develop and muster more courage to overcome your fear? What are some of the tips that you may have on this, Franklin?
I have something in my repertoire called the F it line.
Okay. The Franklin line.
Yeah, there you go. The Franklin it. The F it line is the one that you reach. And I came up with this a long time ago. I used to lead mountaineering trips for kids back when I was a lot younger and could actually climb mountains. And I was at the point where there was this one thing that I was really afraid to try. And a big part of it was my size. I'm a large person. And it was a very risky maneuver where I'm suspended on a rope above a canyon. It's called a Tyrolean Traverse. And I remember that I was scared to do it and I was not going to do it. I was just going to let the other guys that were helping me and the kids do their thing. But they just, they kept pestering me about it all day long. And finally, I reached the F it point. And I just said, F it, I'm going to do it. And it was scary as all get out, man. It scared me to death. And the scariest part was that I actually did get stuck on the rope out in the middle, and they had to rescue me. But what was really interesting was out there in the middle when I was suspended over the trees, and my boots were actually touching treetops.
Wow.
I all of a sudden, instead of being afraid, I was overcome with this incredible sense of calmness.
Nice.
And it was like, even though I was in peril, I knew I was okay. And I think that that's one of the
of the tornado.
Oh yeah, man, right in the middle of it.
Yeah, exactly. Question: would you do it again?
Oh yeah, man. No, well, maybe not now.
I understand, but
I'm a lot older now, and I'm not as nearly as flexible as I once was.
But what I'm saying is that I want to say something that to most of us, here we are fearful of doing something. We don't want to do it. And then we rely on experts that know the way, that can comfort us. They know what's going on. Then we rely on them. And then as we go through, maybe there's some challenges as we go through. But when we come at the other end, says, hey, let's do this again. So now the question to each and every one of you, what's stopping you? What's stopping you right now? You are. It's the only person stopping you. Go for it. And if you don't know how, ask for help. Ask for help. There's coaches that are there. You want some help in insurance? You're going to ask Josh. Help for coaching? There's absolutely Franklin and myself. I can help you. Stop doing this thing that's stopping you. Stop it. Actually, Bob Newhart, stop it.
Stop it, yeah.
Go see that video. It's from Bob Newhart called Stop It. Yeah. And then, ladies and gentlemen, find out. We're not going to put it in the link in there. You're listening to this? Bob Newhart, Stop It. Watch that video. It's 6 minutes, 20 seconds. And then you're going to laugh so much. Then whenever after, you're going to start blabbing some stuff. You say to yourself, stop it. And you're going to laugh. And you're going to go for it. This is cool. Yeah, that's what it is. Entrepreneur, to be fired up and gain the momentum necessary. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Appreciate that.
And this is a good point to kind of segue into, Franklin, one of the questions we'd asked you was, do you have a special MVP formula? And you wrote down here, show up, pay attention, and participate. Can you unpack that for a moment and kind of dive in?
Yeah. That comes from three people. It comes from Woody Allen, Pete Seeger, Woody Allen, George Carlin, and Pete Seeger. Those were the three people who influenced that saying.
Is it Bob Seger's brother? I'm just saying.
No, Pete Seeger was a famous folk singer.
Okay.
And he was one of my musical influences and heroes. I just loved him. He was a wonderful man.
Cool.
But
show up, pay attention, participate.
That's right. Woody Allen's famous saying is that 80% of life is just showing up. And the thing is that nothing's going to happen for you unless you show up. You've just got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be everywhere all the time, but you do have to show up where it's important to show up. So if you're helping people in a way, show up for those people. Be there, be available, be present, be in their midst. And then the paying attention part is where you find opportunities. Paying attention to what's going on and what people say and what people need. That's the source of every opportunity you ever want to find. So paying attention is something that I really am keen on. And George Carlin was famous for saying, if we would all just pay attention, our lives would be so much better. And he was absolutely right. I feel like that attention is actually the one superpower that all human beings have in common, because where your attention goes, your energy flows.
Ooh.
And if if your attention is focused, there's going to be something that comes out of that I think you're going to be appreciating, So I help people really get their attention in line, get their focus together, and make their commitments. And attention is all at the root of that. And then the participate part came from Pete Seeger, and he said, if I have a religion, it's participation. And I loved that saying. And so one of the things that I always look at is, one of my sayings is that community is the source of all opportunity. And so I look for opportunities to participate wherever I can, within the limitations that I've got. I've got some physical challenges that make it difficult for me to do a lot of physical things, but I can still show up and participate in other ways. It's one of the things that I really loved about the pandemic was a lot of people started to discover the power of virtual interaction like this.
And it is right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's created a whole new realm of opportunity that maybe we would have not gotten to as quickly had the pandemic not happened.
Indeed.
So I look at ways that I've been able to join communities and participate online in the last few years that have been exceptional. In fact, I met you guys through one of those communities.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like your show up, pay
Mixer.
attention, participate. There's the story that says, life is a parade.
Yeah.
Some people watch the parade, some people participate in the parade, and some people say, what parade? So show up, pay attention, and participate, and live fully. This is awesome. This is a great way to have a segue on this. So thank you so much for coming here. Actually, what would be your superpower? If you had a superpower, what would it be? Because you put something in there that I like. So I want you to share, what would be your superpower you'd like to have?
Well, I'm a big fan of Doctor Strange in the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
And the latest Doctor Strange movie is, I want to see it again and again and again. But one of the things that I love about Doctor Strange is the ability to create space-time portals and walk through them. And I think that would be really cool to be able to just wave your hands and have this portal open up and you walk through it and you're in another space-time continuum.
Where would you like to be?
Oh man, I would like to explore it. And it's like, it doesn't necessarily, history isn't all that, it's not something that I would probably be interested in, but what I would probably be interested in is alternate possibilities. Like I would be interested in probably different futures or in different times that are current with ours, but they're approaching it differently. Like instead of it being something where people are competing for resources, people are learning how to cooperate with resources at a very high level so that there's enough for everybody and scarcity doesn't exist in that reality. I would love to see what that's like.
Nice. I like that. I say, because to me, it says amateurs compete, professionals create. And what you said right there is there's no such thing as competition. You're lowering yourself down. Create, be a professional. That's absolutely awesome.
I think competition is only for fun.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's true. Again, in sports, it's great indeed. So what's the best way for people to reach you?
Best way is probably on my web. I don't even want to call it a website. It's my blog, franklintaggart.com. And that's where I hang out the most. I put all of my daily shows up there as well. The second place would be my YouTube channel, which is just under Franklin Taggart Coaching. And those are the two places that I hang out the most. Excellent.
And I'm sure that Josh is so good. Those links will be below the description of this podcast so people can get a hold of Franklin Franklin, any, well, actually, before I ask you, says any other comments that you have, Josh?
No, I was just going to echo what Franklin said, and I feel like this is a common theme of the guests that we've had on the show, and entrepreneurs that we've connected with. It's truly about uniting and communityship, right? Like Franklin said, it's not about competing for resources. When we come together, we can all thrive and live an abundant life, and that's kind of the mission behind the podcast and bringing people on the show and being able to share the message of empowerment and becoming more and community and fellowship, right? We're all one race. We're all human. We all bleed red. Yes. And there's no reason to be after each other or to get, spiteful. Like just help others, serve others, and we can all win.
Excellent. I love it. And so thanks for coming to the community. And that's what it's all about. Let's get entrepreneurs fired up. How? Realizing, like Franklin, you come in, you have different expertise, experience, and you've shared with us, for which we are very thankful, the challenges that you have, the things that you overcome. That's what being an entrepreneur is all about. But in the end, it's from the inside out that we live our lives so that we can not die with our songs still inside of us, and that music can ring in the ears of people for time after as we leave a legacy.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Have yourself a lovely week, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh.